The Teguk Dawn dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the new Jeju system. Immediately, the tactical display lit up with red markers. 20 Velkari warships surrounded the colony planet like predators circling wounded prey. Status, Daehyun commanded. Yuna's fingers danced across her console. The defense fleet is still holding, barely. 2 ships destroyed, 2 heavily damaged. They're falling back to the orbital defense platforms. On the main screen, the battle played out in deadly silence. Small human patrol ships dodged and weaved between massive Velkari cruisers. Energy beams lit up space. Explosions bloomed where shields failed. Rixara stood on the bridge, her damaged arm now in a lighter brace. She studied the Velkari formation with professional eyes. That's Captain Velmoth commanding. I know him. He's cautious, methodical. He won't risk his ships unnecessarily. Good, Daehyun said. That gives us an advantage. Minyo, are we ready? The engineer's voice came through from the weapons bay. All systems charged, Commander. We've implemented Rixara's modifications to our weapons. The new targeting algorithm should bypass their shield harmonics. Excellent. Rixara, you're up. Rixara moved to the communication station. Her 3 working hands configured the controls with practiced ease. She accessed the Velkari military frequencies using her command codes. Her hearts pounded as she prepared to commit the ultimate betrayal. Velkari Fleet, this is Warrior Captain Rixara. Authorization code Theta-7 Red Victory. I'm broadcasting from my command ship. Urgent tactical update. On his flagship above New Jeju, Captain Velmoth jumped in surprise. Rixara? Our intelligence said you were dead. The Admiral reported your ship destroyed. Damaged, not destroyed. Rixara lied smoothly. I have been observing human tactics. They have a trap prepared. 3 stealth ships are positioned behind the 4th moon, preparing to ambush your fleet. Velmoth checked his sensors. I detect nothing. Their stealth technology is advanced. Trust me, Captain. I have seen what they can do. Pull back your ships. Reform at safe distance. Velmoth hesitated. Rixara could almost hear him thinking through the communication link. Following her advice meant delaying the attack. But ignoring a warning from a superior officer could end his career. All ships pull back to defensive formation Delta. Velmoth ordered finally. Maintain combat readiness but cease the offensive. On the Teguk Dawn, Daehyun watched the Velkari fleet begin to reorganize. The ships pulled away from the planet, moving into a tighter defensive cluster. It was exactly what he needed. They bought it, Yuna said with surprise. Of course they did, Rixara replied. Velkari captains follow the chain of command absolutely. Velmoth would never question a direct tactical warning from a superior officer. How long until they realize it's a trick? Minutes. Maybe less. When Velmoth reports to the Admiral, they'll know I'm lying. Daehyun activated the fleet-wide channel. All human ships, this is Commander Daehyun. The enemy is repositioning. We have a brief window. Execute attack plan Tempest on my mark. Below on the planet's surface, Governor Hana coordinated the ground defenses. Civilian shelters were at maximum capacity. Every able-bodied colonist had volunteered to fight. The orbital defense platforms had been armed with every weapon the colony possessed. Governor, her aide said nervously, one of the platforms is requesting permission to fire on the Velkari ships. No, Hana said firmly. Commander Daehyun said to wait for his signal. We trust him. In orbit, Daehyun counted down. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Teguk Dawn accelerated at maximum thrust, charging directly toward the Velkari fleet. At the same moment, the 2 surviving defense ships and all 6 orbital platforms opened fire. The coordinated attack caught the Velkari off guard. They were still reorganizing, shields not properly aligned for combat. The human weapons, modified with Rixara's knowledge, punched through the shield frequencies like hot knives through butter. 2 Velkari ships exploded immediately. 3 more took critical damage to their engines. Evasive pattern, Velmoth screamed. All ships, return fire. But the human forces were already moving. Yuna piloted the Teguk Dawn through the Velkari formation like a dancer, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. The ship's railguns fired constantly, each shot calculated to hit weak points in Velkari armor. Rixara watched the battle with mixed emotions. She saw ships crewed by warriors she had trained with, warriors she had fought beside. Now they were dying because she had betrayed them. But she also saw human colonists fighting desperately to protect their homes, their families, their future. She had seen what the Velkari Empire did to conquered worlds. The humans deserved a chance to survive. Incoming transmission, the communication officer announced. It's from the Valkyrie flagship. Admiral Crescitor's face appeared on the screen. His pale eyes were filled with cold rage. Rixara, I should have known. You were always weak? I was blind, Rixara replied. I followed orders without questioning. But I've seen the truth now, Admiral. The Empire is wrong. This war is wrong, traitor. I will see you executed for this. You'll have to catch me first. Rixara cut the transmission. The battle intensified. Tay led a squadron of fighter craft from the planet's surface, joining the orbital fight. The small human ships swarmed around the Valkyrie cruisers like insects, too fast and numerous to easily target. Minho's modifications proved devastating. The human weapons bypassed Valkyrie shields with frightening efficiency. Another ship exploded, then another. Sir, they're trying to jump to hyperspace. Yuna reported. Rixara? Daehyun looked at her. Jammers, Rixara said immediately. Broadcast on frequency 974. It will disrupt their hyperspace calculations. They'll need 15 minutes to recalibrate. Minho activated the jammers. The Valkyrie ships trying to escape suddenly found their hyperspace engines offline. Velmoth realized he was trapped. His fleet was being destroyed piecemeal. Already he had lost 8 ships with several more too damaged to fight effectively. The humans were supposed to be easy prey. Instead, they were winning. All ships concentrate fire on the human command vessel, he ordered. Kill their leader. 20 energy beams lanced through space toward the Teguk Dawn. Yuna twisted the ship desperately, but there were too many shots to dodge them all. Brace for impact, she shouted. The beams hit. The ship shook violently. Consoles exploded. The lights flickered and died, replaced by emergency red lighting. Shields gone, Minho reported. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. We can't take another hit like that. All weapons target the flagship, Daehyun ordered. If we go down, we take Velmoth with us. The Teguk Dawn fired everything it had left. Railgun rounds, missiles, even the mining lasers originally designed for asteroid processing. The barrage slammed into the Valkyrie flagship. At the same moment, the orbital platforms and surviving human ships added their fire. The combined assault was too much. The Valkyrie flagship's shields collapsed. Its hull tore open. Secondary explosions rippled through the ship. Velmoth had just enough time to realize he had failed before his ship exploded. With their commander dead, the Valkyrie fleet lost cohesion. Some ships continued fighting. Others tried to retreat. The confusion allowed the human forces to press their advantage. Rixara coordinated with the human ships, using her knowledge of Valkyrie procedures to predict enemy movements. She called out weaknesses, suggested targets, directed fire to maximum effect. Sora watched from the medical bay, monitoring casualties. She's really doing it, the medic said softly. She's fighting for us. The battle lasted another 30 minutes. By the end, only 3 Valkyrie ships remained functional. They finally managed to jump to hyperspace, fleeing back to their empire with news of another devastating defeat. The human forces were battered, but victorious. The Teguk Dawn was heavily damaged. 2 defense ships were destroyed. 3 orbital platforms were nothing but debris. But the colony had survived. On the bridge, silence fell. Everyone was exhausted, running on adrenaline and fear. Then someone started cheering. The sound spread through the ship, through the fleet, down to the planet below. They had won. Daehyun stood and walked to Rixara. The alien warrior looked at him with her red eyes, uncertain what would happen now. You saved us, Daehyun said simply. Your knowledge, your tactics. We couldn't have won without you. I betrayed my people, Rixara said quietly. No, you chose a better path. There's a difference. Yuna approached, her expression complicated. She had been the most opposed to trusting Rixara, but she had watched the alien warrior fight for humanity with everything she had. I was wrong about you, Yuna admitted. You proved yourself today. Rixara felt something strange in her chest. Acceptance. Respect. From enemies who had become allies. Governor Hana's face appeared on the communication screen. Commander Daehyun, on behalf of New Jeju Colony, thank you. And thank your crew. All of them. Her eyes moved to Rixara, including the warrior who chose honor over empire. The next few hours were busy with damage control and casualty reports. The battle had cost lives. Hundreds of colonists had died in the orbital bombardment before the human counterattack drove off the Valkyrie. Sora treated the wounded, both human and the few Velkari prisoners from damaged ships. She found Rixara in the observation deck staring out at the planet below. "You okay?" Sora asked. 3 days passed. Rixara woke in the medical bay of the Teguk Dawn, her body wrapped in bandages and healing equipment. The pain was mostly gone now, replaced by a dull ache. She tried to sit up but found her damaged arm secured in some kind of medical brace. Sora entered the room carrying a tray with food and medicine. The human medic smiled. Something Rixara had learned was a sign of friendliness in their culture. "You're awake. Good. How do you feel?" "Like I fell from orbit," Rixara said. She studied the food on the tray. "What is this?" "Soup and protein bars. We had to guess what your species can digest, but our medical scanners suggest your biology can handle it." Sora set the tray down. "Eat slowly. Your stomach has been empty for days." Rixara picked up the soup bowl awkwardly with her 3 working arms. The liquid was warm and tasted strange but not unpleasant. She drank it carefully while Sora checked the medical monitors. "Your broken ribs are healing well. The arm will take another week. You're lucky, you know. Most beings don't survive a crash like that. I am Velkari. We are strong," Sora laughed softly. "Yes, you are. But strength doesn't mean much when you're freezing to death in a cave." Rixara felt shame burn through her chest. She had knelt in the snow and begged for her life. No warrior should ever feel such humiliation. The door opened. Daehyun entered with Minho. The commander pulled up a chair and sat across from Rixara's bed. "We need to talk," he said simply. "I am your prisoner. I will tell you nothing." Rixara tried to sound strong, but her voice wavered. Daehyun smiled a little. "You already told us plenty just by being here. Minho has been studying your armor and equipment. We've learned a lot about Velkari technology." Minho held up a piece of her damaged armor. "Your shields operate on a rotating frequency modulation. Clever design, actually. But now that we understand it, we can build weapons that bypass them completely." Rixara's eyes widened. In 3 days, these humans had reverse-engineered Velkari technology that took her people decades to develop. "But that's not why I'm here," Daehyun continued. "I want to ask you some questions. You can answer or not. That's your choice. But I think you'll want to answer. Why would I betray my people? Your people abandoned you," Yuna said from the doorway. She still carried her weapon, still watched Rixara with hostile eyes. "We tracked your fleet. They didn't even search for survivors. They ran the moment we destroyed that station. That is military efficiency. Personal survival is less important than the mission." Daehyun leaned forward. "What was the mission, Rixara? Why did your empire target humans? We've never encountered you before. We've never threatened you. So why start a war?" Rixara was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "The Velkari Empire has conquered 47 species. It is what we do. We spread across the galaxy taking what we want. When we discovered humans, our scouts reported you were weak. Easy prey. New slaves for the Empire. Your scouts were wrong." "Yes." Rixara looked down at her damaged arm. "Very wrong. I reported this to Admiral Crescitor. I told him humans are dangerous, that we should reconsider. He said we cannot show weakness. The Empire must never retreat once we commit to conquest. So he's planning a larger invasion," Daehyun said. Rixara nodded slowly. "The Admiral has called for reinforcements. 50 ships, maybe more. He will attack your colony world, New Jeju. He will show the galaxy that the Velkari Empire cannot be defeated." Silence filled the medical bay. Everyone understood what this meant. 50 Velkari warships against a colony with minimal defenses. It would be a massacre. "When?" Daehyun asked quietly. "I don't know. 2 weeks? 3? The fleet needs time to gather." Yuna stepped forward, her weapon raised. "How do we know you're telling the truth? This could be a lie. A trick," but Daehyun held up his hand. "She's telling the truth. Look at her. She lost everything. Her ship, her crew, her honor. What does she have to gain by lying?" Rixara felt anger flash through her. "I still have my honor, human. I am still a warrior of the Empire. Then why did you tell us about the invasion?" Daehyun asked. A loyal warrior would have stayed silent. The question hit Rixara like a physical blow. Why had she told them? She could have kept the information secret. She could have died with her honor intact. But instead she had warned her enemies. "I don't know," she whispered. Minho spoke up, his voice gentle. Maybe because you're starting to realize the Empire is wrong. We've been talking while you slept. Sora told me about Velkari culture. You're taught from birth that conquest is noble, that mercy is weakness, that only the strong deserve to survive. That is the truth, Rixara said, but her voice lacked conviction. No, Daehyun said firmly. That's what you were taught. But you've seen something different now. You've seen enemies who save lives instead of taking them. You've seen strength used for protection, not domination. And it scares you. Rixara wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. She had seen human warriors fight with incredible skill and courage, but she had also seen them show mercy. She had experienced it herself, lying in that cave, certain she would die. Before she could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Yuna ran to a wall panel and checked the display. Commander, we're receiving a priority distress signal. It's from New Jeju. Everyone rushed to the bridge. Rixara tried to stand, but Sora pushed her back down gently. You're still healing. Stay here. But Rixara activated her medical bed's communication system. She could hear the conversation on the bridge through the speakers. A panicked voice came through. This is New Jeju Colony. We are under attack. Multiple ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're Velkari, requesting immediate assistance. Daehyun's voice was calm but urgent. New Jeju, this is Commander Daehyun. How many ships? 20 vessels, Commander. They're demanding our surrender. They say they'll start bombing civilian areas in 1 hour if we don't comply. Yuna spoke up. Sir, we're 3 days away at maximum speed. We can't get there in time. The defense fleet? Daehyun asked. Only 4 ships, Commander. Old patrol vessels. They won't last 10 minutes against 20 Velkari warships. In the medical bay, Rixara listened with growing horror. Admiral Crescitor had moved faster than she expected. But 20 ships meant this wasn't the main invasion force. This was another vanguard attack. The Admiral was testing human defenses. She pressed the communication button on her bed. Commander Daehyun, what is it, Rixara? This is not the main invasion. This is a scouting force. If they succeed, if they take New Jeju easily, the Admiral will send the full fleet. Your colony is a test. Daehyun was quiet for a moment. Then he said, can you help us? Rixara felt her hearts beating fast. This was it. The moment where she chose a side. Betray her empire or watch these humans die. I know Velkari fleet tactics, she said slowly. I know their communication codes. I know their weaknesses. Will you help us? Rixara thought about Admiral Crescitor abandoning her on that ice moon. She thought about the Empire's endless wars of conquest. She thought about Sora bringing her food and medicine. She thought about Daehyun choosing mercy over execution. Yes, she said finally. I will help you. But I have conditions, name them. When this is over, if we survive, I want asylum. I can never return to the Empire. They will execute me for treason. I want protection. Done. What else? I want to fight. Give me a weapon. Let me prove I am sincere. Yuna's voice came through, angry and suspicious. Commander, this is insane. She's the enemy. How can we trust her? But Daehyun surprised everyone. Because she has more to lose than we do. If this is a trick, Rixara knows I'll kill her myself. But I don't think it's a trick. I think she's choosing honor over loyalty. There's a difference. 3 days to New Jeju, Minho said. What's the plan, sir? Daehyun's voice became sharp and focused. Rixara, I'm coming to medical. We're going to plan a defense together. Minho, prepare every weapon we have. Yuna, plot the fastest course. Sora, get our prisoner mobile. We're going to war, and we're taking a Velkari warrior with us. In the medical bay, Rixara closed her eyes. She had just committed treason against her empire. She had just chosen to fight alongside the humans who were supposed to be her enemies. But for the first time in her life, she felt like she was on the right side. When Daehyun entered the medical bay 10 minutes later with a tactical display, Rixara was ready. Her 3 working arms gestured to the holographic screen. The Velkari commander will position his ships in a sphere formation, she explained. It gives maximum coverage but has weaknesses. Here, between these 2 ships, if your defense fleet attacks this gap, it will force the entire formation to rotate. That gives you precious seconds. Seconds won't save the colony, Daehyun said. No, but I know something else. Something only a Velkari captain would know. Rixara's eyes met his. I know the Admiral's personal command codes. I can broadcast false orders to the fleet. Make them hesitate. Make them question their orders. Daehyun smiled slowly. You're going to cause chaos in their ranks. Yes. And while they're confused, your defenders strike hard and fast. Hit them before they realize it's a trick. For the next 3 days they planned. Rixara taught the humans everything she knew about Velkari tactics. She showed them vulnerabilities in Velkari ship designs. She explained their communication protocols and command structures. And slowly, grudgingly, the Velkari invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the ice moon of Theta 7. 20 warships arranged themselves in attack formation. Admiral Kreshtor's flagship led the assault. Rixara commanded a strike cruiser in the second wave. Their target was a human refueling station on the moon's surface. Intelligence reported minimal defenses, just support personnel and automated systems. It should be a quick victory to restore Velkari pride. But Daehyun had arrived 2 days earlier. "Are the charges set?" he asked Minho. The engineer checked his tablet. "All placed, Commander. The fuel tanks, the reactor cores, everything. When those ships get close, this whole station goes up like a supernova." Yuna stood nearby, looking worried. "Sir, are you sure about this? We're sacrificing an entire station." "It's already evacuated," Daehyun said. "No one dies but the enemy. And we need to send a message. They can't just roll over human settlements without paying a price." The Velkari fleet approached. Rixara studied her tactical display. Something felt wrong. The station's power signature was too low. No ships were docked. No escape pods were launching. "Admiral," she spoke into her communicator, "I recommend caution. This could be another trap." Kreshtor's voice came back, cold and dismissive. "Your previous failures have made you paranoid, Captain. The humans are evacuating. We caught them off guard. All ships advance to capture distance." Rixara wanted to argue but knew better. The fleet moved forward. Her instincts screamed warnings, but she followed orders. From his hidden observation post on a nearby asteroid, Daehyun watched the Velkari ships surround the station. He counted to 10, then pressed a button on his remote detonator. "Goodbye," he whispered. The station exploded. Not just one explosion, but a chain reaction of fuel tanks and reactor cores all detonating at once. The blast created a miniature star that lasted for 3 full seconds. The light was so bright it could be seen from 3 planets away. 5 Velkari ships vanished instantly, too close to survive. 6 more took critical damage, their shields overloaded and hulls breached. The remaining ships scattered, trying to escape the expanding debris field. Rixara's cruiser was among the damaged vessels. The explosion hit her port side, ripping through the engine compartment. Alarms shrieked. Her crew shouted reports of failing systems. "Reactor breach in progress," her engineer screamed. "We have 3 minutes before core meltdown. Evacuate the ship," Rixara ordered. Everyone to escape pods. Her crew rushed to the evacuation stations. Rixara made sure every warrior got to safety before running toward her own escape pod. She was the last one aboard her ship as tradition demanded. She reached the pod bay and climbed inside. The pod launched automatically, rockets firing to push it away from the dying ship. Through the viewport, Rixara watched her cruiser explode, adding its own fireball to the chaos. But something was wrong with her pod. Warning lights flashed on the control panel. The trajectory was all wrong. Instead of heading toward the rendezvous point with the fleet, her pod was falling toward the ice moon below. "Manual override," she commanded, pulling at the controls. Nothing responded. The explosion must have damaged the pod systems. Rixara could only watch as the moon's surface rushed up to meet her. She braced herself in the crash webbing. The pod hit atmosphere at a steep angle. It wasn't designed for planetary landings, only for short-range rescue in space. The pod screamed through the thin air, heating up from friction. Then it slammed into a snowbank with tremendous force. Rixara felt something crack inside her body. Pain exploded through her chest. The world went dark. When she woke up, everything hurt. Her breathing came in short, painful gasps. One of her forearms wouldn't move at all. She tasted blood in her mouth. The pod had torn apart on impact. Pieces of metal and plastic lay scattered across the snow. Rixara dragged herself out of the wreckage, leaving a trail of dark blue blood behind her. The ice moon was freezing. Her armor was designed for space combat, not extreme cold. Already she could feel the temperature seeping into her bones. She tried to activate her emergency beacon but found it broken, crushed in the crash. "This is how I die," she said to the empty, frozen landscape, alone on an enemy world. She crawled toward a small cave she spotted in some nearby rocks. At least she could get out of the wind. Her strength faded with every movement. By the time she reached the cave entrance, she could barely move. Rixara lay in the cave, shivering. Her blood continued to leak from several wounds. The cold was winning. She thought about her home world, about her clutchmates who died in training, about the admiral who sent her on this doomed mission. Then she saw lights in the sky. A ship was descending through the clouds. It was small, a human design. Her enemy had found her. The ship landed 100 meters from her cave. Rixara watched as 5 figures emerged wearing heavy cold-weather suits. One of them carried a medical bag with a red cross symbol. Another held a weapon, but it was pointed at the ground, not at her. She recognized the leader immediately. Commander Dae-hyun. They walked toward her cave slowly, cautiously. Rixara tried to reach for her sidearm but found it missing, lost in the crash. She had no weapons, no armor that still worked, no way to fight. Dae-hyun stopped at the cave entrance. Behind him stood Yuna with the weapon, Minho with scanning equipment, a woman named Sora carrying the medical bag, and Tai watching their backs. "Warrior Captain Rixara," Dae-hyun said. His translator rendered it clearly. "We tracked your pod. Your fleet abandoned you. They jumped to hyperspace 15 minutes ago." Rixara hissed with pain and anger. "Then kill me, human." End it quickly, but Dae-hyun didn't raise a weapon. Instead, he gestured to Sora. "She's badly injured. Check her wounds." Sora stepped forward carefully. Rixara watched this human female approach with medical equipment. It made no sense. Why weren't they executing her? "Don't touch me." Rixara tried to sound threatening, but her voice came out weak. Sora knelt beside her anyway. "I'm a medic. I'm going to help you. Try to stay still. I don't want your help. I am Velkari. We don't accept mercy from prey species." Dae-hyun sat down on a rock near the cave entrance. "You're not on a Velkari ship anymore. You're on a human-controlled moon and you're dying. We have medical supplies. We can treat your wounds, but only if you let us." Rixara's vision was getting blurry. The cold was so intense now. She knew she only had minutes left before hypothermia killed her. Death in battle was honorable. But freezing alone in a cave? That was a warrior's worst nightmare. Her mind, clouded by pain and blood loss, remembered something from her training, an ancient Velkari tradition from before the Empire. When a warrior was defeated by a superior enemy, they could offer service instead of death. They would become a warmth bearer, a servant and bodyguard to their conqueror. It was considered deeply shameful. But it was better than dying without purpose. The words came from her mouth before she could think. Her translator software struggled with the old dialect, converting it awkwardly into human language. She dropped to her knees in the snow, 3 of her forearms extended in submission. "Don't kill me, human," she said through chattering teeth. "I'll heat your bed." The humans looked at each other in confusion. Yuna frowned. What did she just say? Sora checked her translator. "I think it's some kind of surrender ritual. The direct translation is about warming beds, but culturally it might mean offering service or protection." Dae-hyun studied Rixara carefully. The proud warrior captain who had attacked his ship now knelt in the snow, bleeding and freezing, offering herself to him to avoid death. Yuna raised her weapon. "She killed our people, Commander. She led the attack on our ship. We should leave her here." "No," Dae-hyun said firmly. He stood and walked to Rixara. He knelt down to look into her eyes. "We're not like your empire. We don't execute wounded prisoners. We follow laws of war." Sora, treat her wounds. "Sir, she's the enemy," Yuna protested. "She's a prisoner now," Dae-hyun corrected. "And we're humans." "We're better than this." Sora quickly went to work. She injected Rixara with something that eased the pain. She sealed the worst wounds with medical foam. Minho helped her stabilize the broken arm. Rixara couldn't understand what was happening. In Velkari culture, captured enemies were either enslaved or killed. Showing mercy was seen as weakness, but these humans were treating her injuries, saving her life, even though she had tried to destroy them. "Why?" she whispered. "Why save me?" Dae-hyun helped Sora lift Rixara to her feet. "Because we choose to. Because mercy is not weakness, it's strength under control." They brought her to their ship. The interior was warm and bright. Sora took her to a medical bay and continued treatment. Yuna stood guard, clearly unhappy about the situation. As Rixara lay on the medical bed, warmth finally returning to her body, she realized something that terrified her more than any weapon. These humans were dangerous not because they were strong or cruel, They were dangerous because they were kind. They saved their enemies. They had rules they followed even when it cost them. How could the Velkari Empire defeat an enemy like this? An enemy that turned their own warriors against them simply by showing them a better way. Daehyun's voice interrupted her thoughts. Rest now. When you're stable, we'll talk. You have information we need, and you're going to give it to us. Rixara closed her eyes. Rixara paced across the command deck of her damaged flagship. Her claws clicked against the metal floor with each step. Around her, repair crews worked frantically to fix the holes in the hull. Emergency force fields glowed blue where walls used to be. Status, she demanded. Her second-in-command flinched. Captain, we have successfully rendezvoused with the main invasion fleet. Admiral Kreshtor requests your presence on his flagship immediately. Rixara's scales darkened with anger. Meeting with the Admiral now meant one thing. She would have to explain her failure. 7 ships lost or damaged. A simple ambush had turned into a disaster. Tell the Admiral I will arrive within the hour. But before she could leave, her communication officer spoke up. Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's the human ship. Put it through. The main screen flickered. Commander Daehyun's face appeared. He looked tired. His uniform was torn and dirty, but his eyes were sharp and focused. Warrior Captain Rixara, Daehyun said, I'm sending this message as a warning. Leave human space. We don't want war, but if you attack us again, we will defend ourselves. Rixara's forearms flexed with rage. This human dared to threaten her? You won one battle, human. You got lucky. When we return, we will bring 1,000 ships. Your people will serve the Velkari Empire or they will die. Daehyun's expression didn't change. Then we'll destroy 1,000 ships. Go back to your emperor. Tell him humans don't surrender. The transmission ended. Rixara stood frozen, staring at the blank screen. Something bothered her about the human commander. He wasn't boasting. He wasn't angry. He simply stated facts like someone discussing the weather. On the Taeguk dawn, Daehyun turned to his bridge crew. How long until we reach the repair station? Yuna checked her navigation. 6 hours at current speed. Commander, do you really think they'll come back with more ships? Yes, Daehyun said. They think we're weak. They won't accept defeat from a species they consider inferior. Minho, how are repairs going? The engineer appeared on a screen covered in grease. Not good, sir. We need proper dock facilities. I'm holding the engines together with spare parts and prayers. Do your best. We need to warn the colonies. If the Velkari are planning an invasion, every human settlement needs to prepare. 3 days later, Rixara stood aboard Admiral Kreshtor's flagship. The Admiral was ancient by Velkari standards. His scales were pale gray, covered in scars from 100 battles. He looked at Rixara with cold, calculating eyes. You failed, Kreshtor said simply. Yes, Admiral. You lost 7 ships to a single human vessel. Yes, Admiral. Kreshtor circled around her slowly. Tell me, Rixara, how did this happen? Rixara forced herself to stand tall. The intelligence was wrong, Admiral. Humans are not weak. Their weapons bypass our shields. Their tactics are unpredictable. They fight without honor, using tricks and deception. Without honor? Kreshtor stopped walking. They fight to win. That is the only honor that matters in war. He paused. However, I agree our intelligence failed us. We assumed humans would follow predictable patterns. They do not. He gestured to a screen showing analysis of the battle. Watch this. The recording played. Rixara saw the battle from multiple angles. She watched the human ship dodge and weave. She saw the moment when the Taeguk Dawn lured her ships into the asteroid field. See here, Kreshtor pointed. The human commander knew he couldn't win through direct combat. So he changed the battlefield itself. He turned the environment into a weapon. This is not primitive behavior. This is advanced tactical thinking. Rixara felt her shame deepen. The Admiral was right. She had underestimated the humans completely. I have received reports from our scouts, Kreshtor continued. The human ship reached their repair station. But something interesting happened. The human commander, this Daehyun, sent messages to every human colony in the sector. He warned them about us. He shared the battle data. He told them how to fight back. They're organizing a defense, Rixara said quietly. Yes, and that means we must strike quickly before they finish their preparations. I am assigning you to lead a boarding party. We will capture a human station intact. We will take prisoners. We will learn everything about this species. Rixara bowed her head. I will not fail again, Admiral. 2 weeks later, the Velkari fleet approached a small human mining station orbiting a gas giant. The station held only 200 workers and their families. It should have been an easy target. Daehyun had arrived 3 days earlier with a team of soldiers. He walked through the station's corridors with Tae, his best ground combat specialist. "The families are evacuated?" Daehyun asked. Tae nodded. "Sent them on the last transport this morning. Everyone left volunteered to stay and fight." He gestured around. "We've set up defenses at every junction. Tripwires, automated turrets, sealed bulkheads. This station is a maze and we know every corner." "Good. The Velkari rely on overwhelming force. They're not used to fighting on human terms." The Velkari fleet arrived exactly when Daehyun expected. Rixara stood aboard a boarding ship with 50 elite warriors. Each warrior was over 7 feet tall, armed with energy weapons and armored in thick battlesuits. "Remember," Rixara addressed her troops, "we take prisoners. The Admiral wants humans alive for questioning, but if they resist, kill them." The boarding ship attached to the station with a heavy clang. Cutting torches began burning through the hull. Within minutes, a hole appeared. The Velkari warriors poured through, weapons ready. They entered an empty corridor. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the walls. Silence filled the air. "Spread out," Rixara ordered. "Teams of 5. Secure each section." The warriors moved forward. Rixara watched through their helmet cameras from her command position. Everything seemed too quiet. Where were the humans? Then the first team turned a corner. An explosion ripped through the corridor. 3 warriors went down, their armor damaged by the blast. Before the others could react, gunfire erupted from hidden positions. Humans appeared from behind barricades, from ceiling panels, from floor hatches. They fired from multiple angles. Their bullets were designed to penetrate armor at close range. More Velkari warriors fell. "Fall back," the team leader shouted. But when they turned around, a bulkhead had sealed behind them. They were trapped. Rixara watched in horror as team after team fell into similar traps. The humans didn't fight in open battle. They attacked from hiding spots, then disappeared before the Velkari could respond. They used the station's own systems against the invaders, sealing doors and venting atmosphere in strategic sections. In one corridor, Tae led a squad of 5 humans against 10 Velkari warriors. The aliens had superior size, strength, and armor. It should have been a massacre. But Tae's team worked together like parts of a single machine. One soldier threw a flash grenade. While the Velkari were blinded, another cut the lights. In the darkness, the humans used thermal scopes to target weak points in the Velkari armor. They aimed for joints, for eye slits, for exposed areas. Within 2 minutes, all 10 Velkari warriors were down. Tae's team moved to their next position without losing a single member. Rixara couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her elite warriors, trained from birth for combat, were being defeated by humans who were smaller, weaker, and less armored. "Captain," one of her surviving team leaders called. "Request permission to retreat. We're being slaughtered in here." Rixara wanted to refuse. Velkari warriors never retreated, but she watched another team get wiped out by a collapsing floor panel that dropped them into a section the humans had flooded with freezing gas. "All teams, fall back to the boarding ship," she ordered. Her voice tasted like poison in her mouth. "Retreat." The surviving warriors ran back toward their entry point. Human soldiers didn't pursue. They simply watched from their hiding positions as the Velkari fled. When Rixara returned to the flagship, Admiral Kreshtor was waiting. His expression showed no emotion. "You lost 37 warriors," he said. "The humans lost 4. "Yes, Admiral. The human commander sent us a message." "Would you like to hear it?" Rixara nodded, though she dreaded what was coming. Daehyun's face appeared on the screen. "Admiral Kreshtor, I assume you're watching this. You sent soldiers into a station we prepared for you. We turned your strength into a weakness. Big warriors can't move well in tight spaces. Heavy armor slows you down in zero-gravity sections. Your thermal vision becomes useless when we control the temperature." He leaned forward. "We studied you. We learned how you fight, and we will keep learning. Every battle makes us better at killing your soldiers. So here's my message: leave human space. There's no glory in this war, only death." The transmission ended. Kreshtor looked at Rixara. "He's right, you know. We're not fighting a primitive species. We're fighting an enemy that adapts faster than any species I've encountered in 50 years of conquest." "What are your orders, Admiral?" Kreshtor was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "We continue, but differently." I'm authorizing a full invasion of their colony world. We'll see how well they fight when it's their families at stake. Rixara felt something twist in her chest. She had seen enough of human tactics to know this would not go as the Admiral expected. But she bowed and said, "Yes, Admiral." As she left to prepare her troops, Rixara wondered something she had never wondered before. The alarm screamed through every corridor of the Teguk Dawn. Red lights flashed in rhythm with the warning sirens. Commander Daehyun ran toward the bridge, his boots pounding against the metal floor. Behind him, crew members rushed to their stations. Fear showed on their faces. "Report!" Daehyun shouted as he entered the bridge. Yuna spun around in her pilot seat. Her fingers danced across the controls. 12 ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're surrounding us. "Big ones, sir." Daehyun looked at the main screen. His stomach dropped. 12 massive warships formed a perfect circle around the Teguk Dawn. Each alien vessel was 3 times larger than his ship. Their hulls were dark purple, covered in strange symbols that glowed with orange light. "Get me Minho," Daehyun said. His voice stayed calm even though his heart raced. The engineer's face appeared on a side screen. Sweat dripped down his forehead. "Weapons are online, Commander. Shields at maximum. But sir, we're a colony ship. We're not built for this." Daehyun knew this. The Teguk Dawn carried 5,000 colonists heading to New Jeju. They had weapons for defense against pirates, not for war against an alien fleet. A voice crackled through the speakers. It sounded harsh, like metal scraping against stone. The translation software worked hard to make sense of it. "Human vessel. This is Warrior Captain Rixara of the Velkari Empire. You have entered our territory. Surrender now. We will take your ship. Your people will serve the Empire. Resist, and you will die." Daehyun looked around the bridge. Yuna gripped her controls tighter. The other crew members waited for his answer. In the cargo holds below, thousands of families slept in cryopods. They dreamed of their new home. They trusted him to get them there. "Open a channel," Daehyun said. Yuna pressed a button. "Channel open, sir." "This is Commander Daehyun of the human vessel Teguk Dawn. We don't know your empire. We're just travelers heading to our colony. Let us pass in peace." Silence filled the bridge for a moment. Then the alien voice came back, and this time it sounded amused. "Peace? You humans know nothing. The galaxy belongs to the strong. You are weak. You will surrender or you will burn." Daehyun closed his eyes for just a second. He thought about his daughter in cryosleep 3 decks down. He thought about all the children on this ship. Then he opened his eyes. "Yuna, evasive pattern Delta. Minho, charge all weapons. Everyone else, battle stations." "Sir, are you sure?" Yuna asked. "We can't win against 12 ships." "We don't need to win," Daehyun said quietly. "We just need to survive long enough to escape. Now move." The Teguk Dawn suddenly accelerated. The alien ship seemed surprised by the quick movement. Yuna's fingers flew across her controls like a musician playing a piano. The colony ship twisted and turned through space. "They're firing," someone shouted. Orange energy beams lit up the darkness. They came from all 12 alien ships. But Yuna was fast. She spun the Teguk Dawn in ways that should have been impossible for such a large vessel. Most of the beams missed. The few that hit slammed into the shields. "Shields at 70%, Minho reported. 60%, 55. "Return fire," Daehyun ordered. "Target the closest ship, everything we have." The Teguk Dawn might have been a colony ship, but human engineers always planned for trouble. Hidden panels along the hull slid open. Railguns emerged, their barrels already glowing hot. These weapons didn't use energy like the alien beams. They used old human technology. They threw chunks of metal at incredible speeds. The railguns roared. Magnetic fields accelerated the projectiles to a fraction of light speed. They hit the nearest Velkari ship in seconds. On the enemy flagship, Rixara watched her screen in shock. The human weapons punched through her ship's shields like they weren't even there. Holes appeared in the hull. Atmosphere vented into space. "Impossible!" Rixara hissed. Her forearms gestured wildly at her crew. "How can such primitive weapons penetrate our shields?" Her second-in-command, A smaller Velkari with green scales checked his instruments. Captain, their weapons use kinetic force, not energy. Our shields are designed for energy weapons. These metal projectiles pass right through. Rixara's red eyes narrowed. Her intelligence report said humans were weak. They were new to space. They should have surrendered immediately. But now one of her ships was crippled and venting air. All ships focus fire on the human vessel. Destroy it now. The battle became chaos. 12 alien ships fired their energy weapons at the Teguk Dawn. The colony ship weaved between the beams like a dancer. Its railguns never stopped firing. Another Velkari ship took critical damage. Then a third. Inside the Teguk Dawn, the bridge shook with each hit. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. The smell of burning electronics filled the air. "Shields at 20%, Minho called out. His voice strained. "We can't take much more." Dae-hyun studied the tactical display. 3 enemy ships were damaged or destroyed, but 9 remained. His ship was falling apart around him. They needed a miracle. "Yuna, can you get us to the asteroid field?" He pointed at a cluster of rocks on the screen. "Maybe. If we survive the next 30 seconds. Do it. Minho, prepare every missile we have. When we reach the asteroids, I want you to hit those rocks, not the ships." "Hit the rocks, sir?" Minho looked confused but nodded. "Understood." The Teguk Dawn accelerated toward the asteroid field. The Velkari ships followed, firing continuously. The human shields flickered and died. Direct hits began striking the hull. Compartments sealed automatically as sections lost atmosphere. "Shields gone," someone screamed. 10 seconds to the asteroids. Yuna counted down. 5, 4, 3. "Fire missiles," Dae-hyun ordered. Every missile tube on the Teguk Dawn opened. Dozens of missiles streaked toward the asteroids. They hit the floating rocks and exploded. The asteroids shattered into thousands of pieces. The debris cloud expanded rapidly. "Full reverse thrust. Now!" Dae-hyun shouted. Yuna pulled back on her controls. The Teguk Dawn stopped its forward motion just inside the debris cloud. The Velkari ships, following too close and too fast, flew straight into the expanding field of rock fragments. At those speeds, even small rocks became deadly weapons. The debris tore through the alien ships. Their shields flickered under the constant impacts. 2 more ships went dark, their engines failing. Rixara's flagship shook violently. Alarms blared all around her. "Evasive action!" she roared. But it was too late. A boulder-sized chunk of asteroid smashed into her ship's side. The impact threw Rixara across her command deck. She crashed into a wall. Pain shot through her body. When she looked up, half her fleet was gone. The human ship sat in the debris field, damaged but still functional. For the first time in her military career, Rixara felt something she hadn't experienced since she was a hatchling in training. Fear. "All ships, retreat," she ordered. "Back to the fleet staging area. Now." The remaining Velkari ships turned and fled into hyperspace. Silence fell over the bridge of the Teguk Dawn. Dae-hyun slumped in his chair. Around him, his crew stared at their screens in disbelief. They had survived. "Damage report," he said quietly. Minho's voice came through, shaky but relieved. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Main engine damaged but operational. We lost weapons systems, sir. We're alive. I don't know how, but we're alive." Yuna turned to look at Dae-hyun. Tears ran down her face, but she was smiling. "Where did you learn to fight like that, Commander?" Dae-hyun thought about his training. Human military doctrine had one simple rule: survive by any means necessary. Use the environment. Use surprise. Never fight fair. "I learned from humans," he said simply. "Now get us back on course. We have a colony to build." But even as he spoke, Dae-hyun knew the truth. This wasn't over. The aliens would return, and next time they would be ready for human tricks. The war had just begun.